without further ado, let me introduce our keynote speaker. It's a great pleasure for me to do this introduction. So, Alexa, by the way, who's our keynote speaker?
Please help me welcome to the stage Teresa Carlson, Vice President of Worldwide Public Sector, Amazon Web Services.
Thank you. Hi, Teresa.
Good morning. Yeah. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Brussels if you're not here on a regular basis. So I've had a whirlwind. I get to go see my customers all over the world. I was just in the Middle East. I was in Kuwait and Bahrain. I was in London, Spain, and now Brussels. And it's so exciting to be here because this is our second annual Brussels Summit. So thank you, merci. And I just want to make sure you all know how excited we are to have you here. We've had this summit. We had it in the same location last year, a very kind of cool location where we can all drink coffee, eat chocolates, which most of us probably don't need to do, and go to the gym. Don't forget to go to the gym when you eat your chocolate. But the thing about Europe that's really interesting that I've seen a big change over the last couple of years is how you continue to advance your policies around cloud and core to digital innovation, and really what you're trying to achieve across Europe with these things. It's really fantastic to see what the European Commission is doing. They just published a new and very ambitious digital strategy, and I was pleased. The team just told me the Flemish government recently adopted a cloud-first policy across the government, so that's really exciting. So you can see it's not a matter of if, but when. Governments and public sector customers are moving to the cloud. And these policies are really important because when we launched AWS in 2006, our true goal was to put the tools in the hands of our public sector customers so they could create disruptive solutions for their mission, put it directly in their hands so they could move faster. And one of the big things with cloud computing is it does eliminate the barriers to innovation. AWS, under conditions of just trying to pass on economies of scale to our customers, we've lowered our prices 72 times since 2006. And security is a top priority for us, and it has been a top priority since day one. So we've invested in security on a scale that almost no organization could replicate on their own. So we innovate on security behalf of you and let you pick up and take advantage of that. And with the ability to spin up resources in minutes, in seconds, customers can experiment rapidly and fail fast and learn from that and scale from those experimentations so that they have solutions that work when they deploy them. And thanks to cloud, great ideas come from anywhere and anyone. And our founder, Jeff Bezos, says, invention comes in many forms and at many scales. The most radical and transformative of inventions are often those that empower others to unleash their creativity and to pursue their dreams. So AWS, we've really continued to scale our summits around the world. And as customers in Europe, you're really important to us. So we continue to create opportunities to help our customers across Europe accelerate your personal cloud journey. And we try to bring these summits and these programs to you where you are. And we just had summits in Berlin, in Milan, in Paris. And and now we're here today. And of course, we'd love for you to join us also in Amsterdam on April 17th. We have Madrid, we have London, we have Stockholm, and our first summit this year in Warsaw in May. And then I invite you all to come to our very large Worldwide Public Sector Summit in Washington, D.C., which is June 11th and 12th. Last year, we had about 10,000 people. We think we'll have about 13,000 this year. And it's really an amalgamation of all of our public sector customers and partners from around the world. We have lots of fun. We have lots of learning. So I hope you'll also try to come and join us there. Additionally, just, cloud no longer, like I said earlier, is if, but when. How are partners and customers now really adopting cloud? What does their journey look like? And I'm excited by some of our customers. And this slide, of course, is just an example of a few of our customers from across Europe. But like the Italian National Institute of Astrophysics, where they're conducting scientific simulations to improve our understanding of the universe. That's kind of an important job, don't you think? And it's also allows, AWS is allowing them to compute up to 60 terabytes of data per simulation. So again, those learnings, those experimentations faster so they can come up with results. And then the Science Life Laboratory in Sweden uses AWS to analyze DNA at scale. And the work done by the Life Sciences Lab helps support genomics research being done around the world. And again, these are just two examples. And I think they're great examples of how you're doing something now in one location, but it's going global very fast. Our public sector customers, and this just makes my heart warm, has grown. Again, I started our business in 2010. And we really didn't have any customers in public sector. They were just barely utilizing the cloud. Really, generally, not many had a deep understanding of how they could use it at all. And fast forward today, public sector customers, here's a slide of some in Europe, and they're among now tens of thousands of public sector organizations in more than 170 countries today who are using AWS. So it's just mind-blowing how our customers have grown, and their stories are amazing. It's what motivates myself and my team every day to really help us help you. And again, you can see the diversity of the customers and partners that are running and utilizing AWS. But what you can't see from this slide, if I could just open this up and zoom and let you all see it really fast, are all the amazing workloads, what they're doing with cloud computing, and how it's really changing the dynamics of not just jobs and work, but really, again, the mission and the execution of those missions for governments, education, and not-for-profits around the world. And it's really, cloud computing has become so much more than compute and storage. It's now part of the citizen interaction of daily lives. It's the foundation for new educational skills, some which you're going to hear about today, new thinking, new sharing of ideas and concepts. And it's an engine that really helps our not-for-profits scale with their mission worldwide. And if you haven't heard, we kind of continue to grow our teams here in Europe, which I love. For the first time this last year in my business, I doubled the size of my people almost, but now my team globally is as large as my team in the U.S. So we've made a big commitment to our international business. And AWS now has 25 offices across 16 countries in Europe, from Spain to Portugal to Finland to Turkey. And we also have development centers in 7 countries across Europe, including Italy, Poland, and 2 in Romania. And just yesterday, we announced that we will be building 2 new wind farms in Europe by 2021, continuing with our sustainability and going green goals. And we will build one in Ireland and one in Sweden. And it's part of our commitment again. We've made a commitment to power our regions 100% with renewable energy, and we continue to meet the goals that we've set. And now let's just talk about scale globally with AWS. Again, fast forward from where we started, our first region was actually, our first region here in Europe was in Ireland. And you look today, and we're seeing kind of the step changes with our public sector customers because we listen to you and we continue to build regions around the world that meet whatever your needs are. If you do have data sovereignty needs, if you have workloads that you need to put in the country, we continue to build these regions around the world because we want to make sure our partners and our customers can take advantage of that global infrastructure. Sometimes it's just you want to work in different countries and locations around the world. This map has grown since last year's Brussels Summit. We now have 20 geographic regions, including a new region in Sweden that we just launched last year. And we've announced a new region in Milan that will launch in 2020, which we're really excited about. In addition to AWS regions, we'll have a 166 points of presence that includes 49 edge locations across Europe. And we hear from our European customers all the time and partners that they want these regions around the world. So they work from Sydney to Northern California, that you can see here on the slide. So it's amazing. I have partners that say every region that we launch, they launch their service there. So they have capability. The other thing, I used to talk a lot about what is the adoption of cloud and what are kind of the pillars of adopting cloud in that journey. And I used to have a slide that said, here's the things that you really do in public sector. Everything from just literally in the early days having a definition of cloud, because a lot of countries and organizations didn't really know what cloud computing was, to having a security and compliance regime so you could have an understanding of how you deploy cloud with the right controls for security and compliance, to having an acquisition or a procurement vehicle so you could buy cloud computing. So those are still some of the key pillars, but then you have things like culture, a change of culture, and an evolution of skills that you need for the work environment. So we've kind of pulled together lots of different components that we really work to help our customers through that journey, because being the largest cloud computing provider in the world and growing as fast as we are, it's important that we really help change the thinking, evolve the thinking, and really help with the skills that are required. There's hundreds of thousands of jobs available in cloud computing. And we do things like we have a Cloud Leadership Institute where we host government officials and delegations from around the world to really think about problems and solve those as a group of leaders together. We have all kinds of workshops that we do, from digital learning through a cloud journey, through just artificial intelligence and machine learning that we work with hands-on. We have training and certifications. We work with universities and training programs around the world. We focus and help countries think about data sovereignty issues and laws that they can create or policies. We work very proactively to support both our partners and our customers to create the right procurement vehicles so you can buy cloud. And then last but not least, Aws Educate is a program we launched about 3 years ago that we have it in hundreds of countries now, thousands of universities, hundreds of thousands of students are taking advantage of it. And we now have it available in 10 languages, including French, German, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese, and more coming. And that is really about enabling the students and the professors and teachers so that they can really have the tools they need to teach that cloud computing. And we're going to talk about another tool that we've created to accelerate cloud momentum even more. And today, joining me on stage that are really AWS, we're joining forces with 2 German universities to launch 2 new cloud innovation centers. So that's another tool that we use, and these are called KICs, Cloud Innovation Centers. And the 2 that we're launching today are the Digital Transformation Lab at Munich University of Applied Sciences and the Better Future Lab at Code University of Applied Sciences in Berlin. And the 2 leaders of these programs are here with me today, and I'm going to welcome them on stage if I can. Professor Dr. Martin Leitner, who's president of MUAS. Let's give Professor Dr. Martin a big hand. And then Amelia is here from Code, who's head of our partnerships in Code. So welcome. Me five. Yay! This is so exciting. So we're really excited to announce these 2 new programs today. And really, this is a true partnership between us. And what is a KIC and what will we be doing in a KIC? So what happens with these is AWS we provide cloud credits that the program needs. We provide project management and all kinds of training. So some of the things that I talked about, like the digital learning, the cloud journey process, we talk about our innovation and train on our innovation, something we call the working backwards process. And the schools provide a dedicated program manager. They provide the facilities access and a commitment together to share open solution sources together. And we met earlier today and we talked about deliver results. And one of the things we're committed to doing together is delivering results. And we're going to focus together on solving challenges facing society. And at the Digital Transformation Lab in Munich, we're going to focus on sustainable cities, security, and healthcare. And at the Better Future Lab in Berlin, Code, we're going to focus on solutions to the UN Sustainable Development Goals, which range from clean oceans to reducing global inequities. And the solutions developed in Berlin and Munich will be shared globally. So I'm excited about this, but I also thought I would just share they're going to be joining our other kicks from around the world of cloud innovation. And Ben Butler, raise your hand, Ben runs these around the world for my team. And our goal is to kind of bring global learning together with these university programs and efforts so that we can really learn together and share. And last Tuesday, we launched a new kick in Paris, Sciences Po School of Public Affairs, which is going to be focused solving problems in French society, such as preparing for the 2024 Summer Olympics. We know we bring Summer Olympics in, there's a lot going on. And we have one in California at Cal Polytech KIC, where students are building tools powered for computer vision for new species in the ocean. And they're working on something at Cal Poly. So strawberries are big. And they told me that they waste $4 billion a year wasted because they can't get the strawberries out of the field in California. So they're working to determine, can they use AI to determine when they go out and get these strawberries, as an example. So if we can put $4 billion worth of strawberries back into the economy, that's a good thing. So that's just an example of how we're looking from things like agriculture to oceans. So I want to thank Professor Dr. Leitner and Amelia for your leadership and your partnership. And at AWS and for Europe, I think we're looking forward to seeing what we can do. So, oh, and don't forget, they have a session today, I think around 2:30. So you'll learn more about that today. So thank you so much again. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Give them a big hand. Thank you so much. So really excited about these. And I think this will be a really way to infuse innovation. So last year's summit, we announced a commitment to provide access to cloud training to 100,000 people across Europe. Drum roll. All right, we achieved our goal. Yay! So in 2018, we provided training to 144,532 individuals across Europe. Yay, I'm really excited about that. And we used digital. There were 50,000 people in person and then others in online training. But we also worked with over 100 military retired personnel who participated in our Restart program. But we're not going to stop there, by the way. We're just scratching the surface. And we talked about we need to keep training these individuals so they continue to get all the skills they need to get the jobs. And here's just some of the other programs you see up here on the slide that you can continue your education. And we'll continue working with all the citizens of Europe on this. But you can find this on our URL. So our next speaker is an individual who's embraced the possibilities of digital transformation for sure. His organization is helping to set an example of government across Europe and around the world. Alexa, can you please help me introduce our next speaker?
Please welcome to the stage Mario Campo-Largo, Deputy Director General, European Commission.
Yay.
Hi, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Nice to have you here, Teresa, in Brussels. So my presentation today focuses on how the European Commission and digital public administration serving the goal of digital governments can be enabled by clouds. And I focus on digital government because I think that the notion of e-government, where the same type of services were offered through the new internet, is gone. We're talking about delivering services in a completely different way, in a user-driven way, in a citizen and business-driven way, therefore changing the organization to put the focus on the satisfactions of the needs of businesses and citizens. In order to do that, we have to be aware of the major shifts, and we have to work with partners like you and others, public and private, to make sure that we can make our administrations digital and deliver this public good efficiently, using the most modern technology and in a transparent way. Some of the big shifts that we have here, working like any other industry in digital ecosystems. Public administrations cannot deliver the service to the citizens and to the business working alone. They have to partner with other public authorities. In Europe, it's particularly the case in the different member states, working also with the private partners, making sure that we don't deliver based on our internal silos, that we focus on the users, and the users being citizens and businesses, and therefore that we are driven by them, we are user-centric, business-centric, that our organizations are re-engineered and our workforce skills are improved to ensure leadership, for example. Now, data is fundamental in this approach. We have in Europe designed what we believe that are the future digital government by understanding that we need to obey to a number of important principles. Those principles have been established and consolidated in the Tallinn Declaration, and they focus on data. And so for us, data to optimize, to transform, and to create entirely new services is absolutely fundamental. And when we talk about data, we then talk about innovative technologies, data analytics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, blockchains, or even Internet of Things when we think about the digital twins. But I refer to these guiding principles, guiding declaration of Tallinn. And Tallinn tells us that digital governments in Europe should be digital by default, should be inclusive and accessible to everybody, that we should put in practice the once only principle, that we should be trustworthy, and that we should have enough security in the provision of these services to the public, that we should be open and transparent, and that we should ensure interoperability across public administrations in Europe. And last but not the least, the Tallinn Declaration, challenge all of us in the public administrations to address new technologies, to embrace them, to do pilots, and to start experimenting with them. And that's what we did in the European Commission. We designed and we made a European Commission digital strategy approved by the Commission of the College of Commissioners, so at top level. And this is our guiding principle, to make our Commission a digitally transformed, user-focused, and data-driven administration starting right now, achieving a major goal by 2022, and making, therefore, this Commission a truly digital Commission. In order to do that, you need to focus in a kind of a framework. And in this framework, we obviously satisfy, as you can see on the top, the digital solutions for citizens and businesses. By the way, we also make our internal employees, our workforce, more digitally enabled by finding and defining digital workplace that is commensurate with the needs for efficiency and transparency that we need to impose to ourselves. But for that, we need to develop platforms, reusable solutions platforms, and again, data is at the core of our architecture. But in order to deliver all of that you see in the upper levels, you will need an infrastructure that is modern, that profits from all opportunities that we have in the market, including cloud. That's why our decision has been to go to a cloud-first approach and to use secure, hybrid, multi-cloud solutions. Let's see how was the journey until we are right now and how we see the future. First, obviously, like most of the other organizations, public and private, we fostered the consolidated of our data centers, the data centers that were based in the basements and that are now in a modern data center in Luxembourg with obviously very significant capacities, and that will enable us in a jump into the future that I will explain in a second. And then we start discovering this cloud, and by discovering that, we have done a lot of experiments. We worked with a lot of institutions and agencies. You know, some examples that we can mention here is machine translation and the use of cloud to do that, or the development, the platforms, the environments for developers in the Commission, or the use of Drupal, an open source solution to all our websites. Or if you want to think even in terms of services, software as a service, the use of spam filters in our network. But we go from this discovery phase into a transformative phase with a second wave of decisions around cloud. And this one has to do now into going more in terms of the core functions, being some of them using the cloud, or even using productivity tool, collaboration, email, and office automation based on some solutions that are in the cloud solution. Side by side with this transformation by using the cloud, public cloud, we are also, and this is enabled by our data center consolidation, we are also making a cloud on premises in our data center, because we have some types of data that cannot be easily put in the public clouds for specific reasons that I think that you can understand very easily. Now, that journey into cloud has transformed our organization. Is a paradigm shift. Legacy is affected. Migration, lift and shift, yes, but we will only see the benefits of cloud when we look into the cloud-native solutions. But this implies also looking into models of shared responsibility between us and the cloud providers and supporting the disruptors. We are also looking to completely different operating models, because we need to analyze the data policies, the assessment of all the applications that we want to develop. We need to plan and develop this notion of broker to facilitate that all our services can access in a secure way the cloud. And we have to adopt Agile and DevSecOps methodologies. And last but not least, skills and roles, aspects of GDPR, of data location, legal aspects, and also the responsible use of some of the new technologies that can be easily available in the cloud. So why this transformation is important for us? Because what matters here is not cloud. It's not only what we learn out of the cloud, but is that we satisfy our objectives as a public administration. And the cloud facilitators in terms of agility, allowing us to have a rapid adoption, a fast delivery model, and a multi-channel interaction with the data and the applications. It also will allow us to get value, because in the end, if we are able to monitor the use of the cloud, it will allow us to align our IT capacity with the needs and optimize the cost. That is something very important for public authorities. But last but not least, allows us to innovate, to provide new services to businesses and citizens. And those new services, as I said, are essentially the ones that are based on data. With that, I'd like to conclude by saying that actually, cloud is a key enabler for the digital transformation of public administrations, bearing in mind that what we want is to be able to benefit our citizens and businesses in terms of quality, transparency, speed, and innovation in public services. Thank you very much.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic.
Thank you
wow, that was amazing. I agree with all that. That was really good. So how can we help make that a reality? I think that's the key. So you heard again from Mario in the European Commission. He's a great example of what they're trying to do now for digital transformation. And we continue to think about what can we do at AWS to help our customers, again, with that digital transformation. And so at AWS, we've launched a new digital transformation team for government. And this team is led by Liam Maxwell. I know Liam's in the room somewhere. But Liam was the CTO, the former CTO of the UK government. and he led them through a massive digital transformation. And so he's now working on programs that will help our government customers. And he's worked now in partnership with the University of Exeter. And on June 24th, we will hold our first executive education course in government transformation with our partner at Exeter University, University of Exeter. And this program it's designed for political or operational leaders such as director generals, vice minister, agency chief executives, and deputy chief executives. And tuition is free. So please visit our URL here to learn more and stay tuned for future courses. We're really excited about this. We've gotten very good feedback. And we've also heard from our government leaders that they want programs that are just specifically geared toward them in helping both understanding everything Mario just talked about up here for a cloud journey to how do they implement that? How do they think about policies and programmatic efforts that will really get them there faster? So I would thank you so much for having me here today. It's always exciting to be here in Brussels. I've met with a lot of the customers, and I look forward to coming back. But for now, we're going to continue to work alongside each other to look for that continued potential to unlock the cloud capabilities for your mission and for your journey. So thank you all again. And now I'm going to turn it over to Max Peterson, who runs our international public sector, to give you some more customer examples and more thoughts on the journey to the cloud. Max, welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
That was a great job. Thank you, Teresa, and thank you for the great testimonial on how the European Commission is transforming using digital. We are truly excited by the innovation that we see across the public sector in Europe. And so what I'm going to do for the next few minutes is, through the stories of our customers and our partners, I want to share with you some very real ways that they're using AWS and the power of the AWS cloud to make a difference, to make the world a better place. What you heard from Mario was really important about allowing our customers to operate more efficiently and more affordably. What I want to bring to you now, both with some stories up here and then with a few more speakers, is how customers are doing this across all types of public sector services. So improving citizen services, modernizing education for the benefit of students and professors, innovating like we heard about with the two new customer innovation centers that are being started in Munich and Berlin. And something that's important to me is providing the type of assistance to vulnerable populations that many of our not-for-profits do. And so let me give one example here through the eyes of a project called the Humanitarian Openstreetmap team, or HOT. I love the acronym HOT, the HOT team. And it's hot because they're using AWS to help speed up response in humanitarian crises. And you might ask yourself, well, how do you use the cloud to do this? This is super innovative. What HOT does is they use satellite imagery that's hosted on AWS and downloaded through Earth stations around the world to be able to use crowdsourcing to build up this map to reach people in humanitarian crisis. And the way it works is that volunteers view the images and identify roads and other infrastructure that's important to be able to reach people in a disaster scenario. And they're able to therefore be able to deliver aid faster and truly, help people in need. And what we're doing is we're giving everybody here the chance to play a role in helping people in need, because we've partnered today with VMware. And we're going to allow you, if you've got a little bit of time in between all these great sessions, we're going to allow you to contribute by using the mapping function. If you visit the aquarium, you can help map communities in Turkey that have been impacted by the refugee crisis. And you simply use MapSwipe. MapSwipe was a mobile app, and in a couple of minutes, you'll be able to map out a square kilometer of space, area, and be able to help serve a population that's in need. So I think that's just kind of amazing when you think about how people are using AWS and cloud computing. It's also very important to me that we think about healthcare. It's another sector that is undergoing dramatic transformation in the cloud to deliver better health benefits for all of us. I'm going to give you 3 examples right here. The Munich Leukemia Laboratory has used AWS to reduce the amount of time that it takes to analyze genomes from 20 hours down to just about 3. That means they can get more work done, and we can get more knowledge and understanding faster for less money. NHS Digital, as an example, has architected a secure data environment to allow external researchers to be able to now do research cloud processing 26 times faster than they were able to do it in the past in legacy on-premise data centers. Again, that type of productivity is so important to be able to solve the challenges of healthcare instead of spending time on the undifferentiated heavy lifting of IT. And finally, recently announced at the end of last year, AWS partner, EMIS Group, and also a partner of the NHS, announced that they're delivering a new patient medical record on AWS. They're building, it's called EMIS X, and they have built now this fully secure platform that allows them to handle 2.5 billion healthcare documents. And the benefit is that this new system will allow the NHS to improve the patient experience. They'll be able to bring all of this information together so that they can do things like population health studies, or simply providing more convenient appointment times for patients. So there's a great opportunity in improving healthcare around the world, and we're very excited about that. And I couldn't stop with that, and so I wanted to talk about education. Does anybody here have kids? A couple people? Yeah, I've got 4. And so it's also really important to me that we are doing the things in education to innovate and help prepare the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow. A French company called Skill Logs is now using AWS to help them deliver adaptive learning solutions to make it more accessible and more relevant to students. And the platform uses AWS so that they can provide personalized content to help every student learn better and more efficiently. A Danish company called Uniwise has built a platform on AWS that protects against the potential for online cheating. This platform, and this is part of the power, can be rapidly adopted. It's used by 70 universities currently across Europe, and it allows them to automatically check 1.3 million exams last year. And if you're in the education community here, visit the EdTech Pavilion in the exhibition hall, and you'll learn a lot more about what's going on with education and public sector. But I think I'm going to bring someone up to the stage to tell you their story in person. And so, Alexa, can you help me with our next speaker?
Please welcome to the stage, Maji Almiral, Corporate Director of Digital Business, SM Educamo.
Maji, congratulations.
Thank you. Yes, education is a great subject. I'm working in education from 20 years ago, and now I am working for SM. SM is a Spanish company. My company works in education from several years ago, but now we are in a real and complex transformation because education is going from the traditional business to a new business. Yesterday, in 1938, company begins and the business is making books. Last year, we make 71 millions of books and 6 millions of books for children literature. Yesterday's business is going down slowly because the education is changing. But it's changing where? Today, education creates an open learning ecosystems. Educamos, or open learning ecosystems, take in the mobile phone of the families, take the information of the schools. We have 1 million of families who receive the information of the school. For example, families receive the degrees of the children, families receive the information about the activities, and can connect and interact with the school with Educamos. Why Educamos needs Amazon Web Services partnership? Because with Amazon Web Services, it's more simple. The work going fast, and we can set up quickly. With Amazon Web Service, we can open many countries at the same time. Now we stay in 10 countries in Latin America, we stay in Spain, but we stay too in Mexico, in Puerto Rico, in Argentina, in Brazil, and we open countries very fast because we stay in the cloud. Another important question is the security for education. We have the information of many children. We have a special information about the life of the children, about the relationship with the school and with the parents. And this information is protected by systems in AWS. And another important question in education is the high volume, because in September and in January, we begin the school. And in September and in January, we have 200% peaks of volume of using. And we auto-scale automatically, and infrastructure going well because infrastructure organized in this optimization. But tomorrow, we have a very interesting and a very new goal, because appear in many countries a new middle class. This new middle class takes better education to his children. You can see there the budget of the families about several services, but the most increasing budget in the family is the education. Why? Because this middle class, because you and I takes a good education for our children. And this is very important for us. What we can take tomorrow? We can take a peace of mind for families. We can take services to tutorize, services to help for the homework. We can take services to improve the content, to personalize the content in the school. We can take emotional guidelines. We can help parents, teachers to understand the moment, the emotional moment of the children. These services we can construct by artificial intelligence. Video services, Alexa skills, applications for education, machine learning. Last month I making some tests in my family with my daughter of 14 years old. And I showed to my daughter a new Alexa skill who you can ask, my children arrived last week on time at the school? And Alexa says, you know, on Monday I arrived 15 minutes late. And my daughter says, please, Daddy, don't develop it. And I think we need to make this work with values. We need to make this work with the principles. We need to make this work with education principles, because if not, we have many information we can go in a not correct ways. This is our aim and our object. And we're going together to this future because it's an ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Very, very nice story. Nicely done. Thank you so much for sharing, Majid. The stories that we've shared here are so inspiring, but a lot of times the next thing that we need to help people understand is exactly how does AWS help power this kind of innovation. And so I'm going to quickly go through some of the key ways that the AWS cloud helps our customers innovate. And one of the things that I just want to start off by sharing is that at Amazon, we work backward from the customers, and your needs power 95% of our roadmap. They power 95% of our roadmap. Customers like Maggi, who come up with these kinds of new requirements and new applications. We take that feedback, we use Agile methodologies, and we innovate quickly on behalf of our customers so that they can move faster. And so these are a couple of the things that allow this to happen. The first is that AWS provides the broadest and the deepest set of tools to help customers build new capabilities. Currently, over 165 different services. And it starts with foundational services like compute and storage and security. And then it moves up the stack there to be able to provide you fast and easy, ready-to-go ways to address things like blockchain, or to innovate around IoT, or to use machine learning to come up with new insights to help students learn better, help citizens live better, or help aid populations in distress. And so I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into some of those. But one thing, one thing that you should understand is that at AWS, security is job one. We know for our customers in the public sector that security and trust go hand in hand. And it's important to be able to build the foundations for a new digital society on top of the very best cloud service provider. And so here's what we do. The first thing is AWS provides over 200 different services and key features to help you ensure security, to help you ensure compliance, and to help you make sure that your organization follows the established governance that you have put together, right? The second thing that we do, beside all of the international standards that we support, we spend a lot of time right here in Europe working with national bodies that set up local certification and attestation processes. Things like being the very first cloud service provider to meet the C5 accreditation in Germany, or just recently announced working in France to meet their health data security requirements. And finally, another example in Spain, where we meet the ENS High security and accreditation. All this to make sure that we've got the safest, most secure infrastructure for customers to build on. Another thing that we're commonly used to responding to is different types of legislation that helps to ensure security and privacy. Last year, we talked a lot about GDPR. This year, when I talk to customers, I still get a lot of questions about this thing called the Cloud Act from the US. There's a lot of misinformation out there, but to put it simply, it's about law enforcement communications to help fight crime and terrorism. On AWS, we provide customers all the tools that they need to continue to manage and control their data. Some things like being able to provide encryption from end to end at rest or in motion. And of course, once you've encrypted data, it's rendered useless without the decryption keys. And then finally, we also work with customers to make sure that we continue to support their right to their ownership and privacy. And so AWS publishes any of the requests that we get for legitimate law enforcement. And we always go back to the foundation that's in our agreements with you. Your data is your data. But what we really find interesting is to help customers achieve real security. And recently, we introduced an online series and white papers called the Intrusion Kill Chain, which is a strategy that organizations can use on AWS to measurably deliver better security. So it's not just about a framework or an accreditation. This is about how you actually deliver better security for your organization in real time on the cloud. And so for any of our security practitioners in the audience, I encourage you, if you've got questions, get a hold of any of our AWS representatives. We can point you to things like the AWS security website, where you can go and view accreditations. We'll share white papers like this, but most of all, we want to make sure that you understand how to use AWS to make your organization as safe and secure on the cloud as possible. We also talk to a lot of customers that are in this journey. And I love the example of digital by design, but not everybody is quite at that stage yet. And so we provide a number of different ways to help you connect your data centers and perhaps more importantly, your data to the power of the cloud from your existing premise so that you can go ahead and work faster and smarter now. And one example is PostNL. At PostNL, they use some of our virtual private cloud capability and our direct connect capability to actually connect their legacy data center to the cloud to be able to deliver support across 13 different countries for over 50,000 employees. So a very powerful way to take your legacy infrastructure and now leverage cloud to be faster, more agile, and more secure. There's a couple of other examples up here behind me that help your organization do the same thing. We find that many of our customers use VMware. And so with VMware Cloud on AWS, VMware now provides the ability for you to seamlessly interoperate between your on-premise VMware systems and VMware running in the cloud on AWS. A lot of times we heard about data. Well, some customers have massive amounts of data, more than you might transfer online. So AWS provides services like the Snowball to be able to load your data in bulk from your data center and then securely deliver it to the AWS data center where we upload it. We also provide now compute at the edge with something called Snowball Edge. And lastly, I want to talk about something that was announced at Reinvent this year. It's called AWS Outposts, and it'll be coming soon to you. AWS Outpost, you can think of it as an extension of the cloud that now will be able to sit on your premise. And it'll provide you with the fundamental compute and storage capability on premise, but still connect back to the cloud to be able to leverage the power of the cloud in your enterprise, be it in government, education, or in not-for-profits. So an important way that we enable customer workloads by these hybrid solutions. But again, on the theme of data, what we find is that customers now want to do things faster and more flexibly. They want to use purpose-designed databases instead of the old one-size-fits-all legacy database that they've got. And so AWS provides something that we like to call database freedom. What that means is that you can pick the right database for the right application and pay only for what you use. No more single monolithic databases that you try to work with to accomplish all the different needs you might have. And so what are some examples of that? Choosing a SQL database or a NoSQL database and having easy migration tools to allow you to get the data between them. Or some customers are now getting into blockchain. Well, why not have a blockchain optimized database like AWS QLDB for these types of immutable ledgers that you need? Or if you want to use graph databases, or if you need document-based databases. Again, with AWS, we've worked hard to provide customers with this type of database freedom so you can pick the right tool to do the job and pay for only what you use. Oops, it'd be good if I hit the red button, or pardon me, the green button instead of the red button. There we go. One more customer example on the database side of things. A company called Easy Welfare, AWS solution provider that does SaaS on the cloud. They recently discovered by using AWS Aurora database that they were able to speed up the performance of their system for the benefit of all their clients. And it was a pretty significant increase. They were able to deliver a 26% faster read rate and a 15% faster write rate. And so in addition to better performance, by using a purpose-designed database, they were actually also able to save significant costs. Many of our customers, when you talk about innovation, want to experiment with machine learning and artificial intelligence. We heard that from a couple of speakers earlier today. While AWS provides more options and more power for customers to experiment with machine learning and AI than any other cloud service provider today. And so when you're making your decisions about cloud, think about that breadth and depth of offering. In fact, Amazon and AWS have more than 20 years of experience putting machine learning to use in the real world. And here's how we're helping customers put it to use for them today. At the very bottom of the stack over here, we provide deep tools and frameworks so that machine learning experts and data scientists are free to build whatever they can imagine. At the middle layer, we use a tool called AWS SageMaker so that we can allow traditional developers to infuse their applications with new machine learning capabilities. We've taken out that heavy lifting down at the bottom, and we let them use the machine learning tools to make it easy to integrate these types of capabilities into the current applications. And then finally, up at the top of the stack, we use machine learning and artificial intelligence built into services that customers directly consume, like voice services or language services such as Transcribe or Lex or Poly. So in those different ways, AWS provides more ways for customers to get the benefit of machine learning and the power of artificial intelligence, whatever your skill set and whatever your organization needs. A recent example of a customer who did this was Lancaster University. I met with them earlier, and they were so excited. They had built this new capability very rapidly. They call it Ask LU, and it allows students to answer questions about academics and community life. Students can do things like ask, what is my class and who is my professor? Or what's happening on campus? In fact, I understand Ask LU even gives out really good social advice. Things like, where do I find a washing machine and what time is the pub open? So Ask LU is helping to deliver a personalized service to students, but it also has very important future capabilities. Things like being able to help students when they are trying to improve outcomes, or help provide direction when they need to get back on track. And students have had a very positive experience with this so far, and the LU team is here. Hopefully you're able to see them maybe at the education session last night. Of course, AWS is for builders. And for any of the developers or any of the folks that are sort of latent geeks like me, I had to stop and talk about a fun way to start learning about machine learning and how you train these types of machine learning modules using something called reinforcement learning. And so this is a 1/18th scale autonomous racing machine that we are now making available to customers so that they can start using reinforcement learning to build ML models. And so what we've done is we've set up something called the AWS Deep Racer Competition. And so at summits around the world, including the public sector summit that Teresa talked about, builders can train the Deep Racer to race along a predetermined racetrack. And at every one of these summits, they will be able to compete against other people who have trained their autonomous race vehicles and see who can drive the track the fastest. And the fun part of this is that the winners that come out of each of these summits will get a chance to compete for the championship at the Reinvent conference in Las Vegas in this coming November. So if you like doing this sort of stuff, get ready, start training, and join one of these summit races, and then maybe you'll get a trip to Las Vegas. And with that, I want to wrap up with one more story about how our customers are using AWS, and in this example, machine learning, to improve the lives of citizens in the Flemish region. And so, Alexa, can you help me with our final speaker?
Please welcome to the stage Guido van Humbeck, Director of Architecture and Innovation, VDAB.
Thank you.
Guido,
Thank you.
the green button.
Yeah. Thank you, Alexa, for introducing me. We have to learn to be polite also against robots. So that's why I'm doing this. One question, how would you feel if you were standing here? That's how I feel. Anyway, who is VDAB? VDAB is a Flemish public employment service. So we support the job market in various ways. Our target groups are the citizen, employers, and partners. And one of the key services that we provide is job matching. Job matching is finding the right job for the right person, based on job descriptions and based on information we get from the employee or for the job seeker. And today I want to share two things with you. First of all, what is JobNet? And secondly, what are we doing in our journey to the cloud? Now, what is JobNet? We call it market-driven job matching. Basically, it's an intelligent recommender system. It recommends job vacancies that suit you. By the way, if you're looking for a job in Flanders, go to our website and you will be very well served by our system. It also recommends candidates for job vacancies, so it works in two directions. Employers are looking for good people, and people are looking for good jobs. We used deep learning for that. We used TensorFlow. And we started the first experiment. The question was, can we use AI to improve our job matching? Because you can do job matching in different ways. And then the most difficult thing is, A, do we have the data? And secondly, do we have the skills to do this? And in this area, we have to admit, all of us, we have to admit that we don't have the skills in-house today. So I found a startup, very smart people, and they came to us and they said, well, we can do it. And they explained this briefly. This is how we would do it. So we decided to do the proof of concept, and it was pretty successful. And then last year, and that's an advice I'm giving to you, if you have something spectacular, go to your CEO or CEO -1. Show him or her what you have done. And when that person says, I want to have this, then you can go further, right? So the inertia of your company might be an innovation killer. So go high enough. So that's what we did. We went to the CEO, to the CIO -1, and they all were, whoa, this is exactly what we needed. So we got the money, and we started in February last year, and it went into production in October 2018. With quite some success. We're still measuring the impact, but we believe that besides the different types of matching, that this type of matching adds quite some additional benefits. Because it not only shows what type of jobs we as an organization believe that you could subscribe to, but it tells you what others think about the jobs they are looking for. And so we will recommend you jobs that other ones, people like you, would prefer. The nice thing is that the system learns that if somebody is looking for a nanny and somebody else describes that I can take care of children, the system learns that this is the right match. The system learns, I don't know if you know Antwerp, but try to avoid what we call the ring, the road around Antwerp. We've seen that people who are living to the east of Antwerp don't want to, well, are not very eager to go to the west of Antwerp. So the system learns it, right? So there are a couple of things that are pretty interesting. One of the nice side effects is that it is language independent. Due to the fact that we use embedding, basically it's translating words and sentences into numbers, we can today match French job vacancies on Dutch resumes, whatever language. Well, we implemented only 4 languages, but implementing other languages is not that difficult. So why did we go to the cloud? Very easy. Deep learning needs quite some resources. And if you want to set up your own type of your own infrastructure, you spend a year setting it up. So elasticity was key, time to deliver, and flexibility in architectural changes. It was the first time that we did it. So basically, that is what we did with AI. Last thing is that I wanted to share with you is our journey to the cloud. The biggest problem of journey to the cloud is, in my opinion, you know that the future will be hybrid for 10 years. It has an impact on application architecture, on technical, on data, on operations, on data platforms, analytics, security. So how do you prepare for it? So what we do, or what I organized a couple of months ago, I started a project Journey to the Cloud. And we looked at all the aspects and see how these would be impacted when we would go to the cloud, to make sure that every department goes to the cloud more or less at the same speed. It's no use to have your development going to the cloud if operations is not ready. So make sure that you prepare for the cloud. And basically, this is the planning. And as you can see, we're close to the end of this journey. The next phase is implement it. But we will know how to do it, more or less, with help of others. And then, final lesson, good preparation is half of the work. I wish you all the success with your journey to the cloud. Thank you.